Hi you guys, it's Arielle. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I hope you guys are all doing well. Today I'm going to be taking you apartment hunting with Jean and I. And initially it was just Jean who wanted to move out of his apartment, so I was coming along to these visits just for fun and to give my opinion. But as we went along, we realized it made a little bit more sense to actually move in together. So the last few apartments that you'll see are a little bit bigger because they're meant for 2 people. We haven't found an apartment yet, we're still looking, but I thought it'd be fun to document this process and share it with you guys, especially if you yourself are planning on moving to Paris in the near future. And that being said, if you are planning on moving to Paris, then I would recommend that you check out this video right here that I made about the top tips I have for you guys in terms of finding an apartment. And another really great way to prepare yourself for apartment hunting in Paris is to brush up on or learn a little bit of French, because that is what will impress the agencies and the landlords here. And thanks to the sponsor of today's video, Lingoda has you covered. Lingoda is an online language school that gives you access to live classes with native speakers any day or time of the week. I personally really love Lingoda, not just for the quality and convenience of their classes, but because it is by far one of the most interactive ways to learn a language. The teachers are so incredibly supportive and professional, and because the class size is so small, you are constantly participating and speaking in French and interacting with other students, but most importantly, you're getting feedback live all throughout that class. And this is what I mean by Lingoda classes being so incredibly interactive. Throughout that hour, the teachers are working overtime to make sure that you are actively immersed in learning the language. These are by no means lecture-style classes. My mom, who actually uses Lingoda to brush up on her French so that she can better communicate with my French boyfriend, was actually so surprised by this during her first class. The very first class she did with Lingoda, there was only one other participant, and she was telling me that during that hour, the teacher had them speaking and participating in French nonstop. She was like, Arielle, I couldn't even check my phone, I couldn't check my email. I was so focused on the class, I just couldn't afford to be distracted because the teacher had us 100% of the time participating and speaking in French. The Lingoda curriculum is also designed to have you focused on practical language that you'll use in everyday situations, like apartment hunting, and they offer both academic classes, which is like grammar and vocabulary, as well as real French classes that'll have you speaking like a local in no time. If you guys want to support this channel and practice your French before you get to France, definitely check Lingoda out. You can start a free 7-day trial where you can take 3 group classes to see if it's the right fit for you. And you can also use the code 30margarita to get 30% off your first payment. Thank you so much, Lingoda, for sponsoring this video. Now let's get back to it. Let's see the apartments. Okay, so I'm on my way to the first visit. I'm gonna hop on the DeliFB and pedal all the way to Vincennes, where Jean is waiting for me. I have high hopes for this one. This apartment is located in Vincennes, right beside the Chateau of Vincennes, which you can see. It's also great because it's right beside a florist, so there's no excuse for Jean not to get me flowers. We headed into the building and climbed all the way up to the 5th floor because there was no elevator. As soon as we walked into the apartment, we loved it. The kitchen and living room are open concept, and there was a huge window which allowed for a lot of natural light, and there was no building in front blocking the view. The kitchen was nice, lots of storage, but the only downside was that there wasn't a stovetop already installed. Beside the kitchen is a spacious and bright bathroom. Moving on to the bedroom, which is big enough for a bed and a dresser. The biggest downside here was that there was absolutely no natural light in this bedroom. There was one window, but it opened to a wall. The building overall was very charming and clean, but there was no bike storage, which was a thumbs down for Jean since he has a bike that he would need to store. Just got back from the visit without Jean. Sadly, he had to go back to work because we did the visit during his lunch break. Overall, I really did like the apartment. It had tons of natural light that came through a very big window in the living room. Same for the bathroom, very big window, lots of light. Perfect for doing your makeup in the morning, even though Jean will not be very implicated by that. Another good point about the bathroom as well is that there was tons of storage, lots of little drawers and compartments, as well as a washing machine. Even though there wasn't a built-in stovetop in the kitchen, I didn't really think that was a big deal because it's something that you can quickly go buy at IKEA or really any home hardware store, and it's pretty easy to install. The only downside, in my opinion, was the bedroom. It was very small, no storage, and was completely dark. There was very little natural lighting. For me personally, I really need a lot of natural light in my bedroom just so that I can get up and feel motivated in the morning. But I don't think that's something that's gonna bother Jean. And I think as well, because the living room and the rest of the apartment are so luminous, it's okay to just reserve the bedroom completely for sleeping and maybe clothing storage, and just say that, you know, once I get up, I'm gonna do the rest of my day in the rest of the apartment and not spend too much time in the kind of depressing bedroom. I also think the apartment has a really good location. It's right beside the Chateau of Vincennes, and it's close enough to Paris to be Paris, but outside of Paris enough not to be totally crowded and polluted and noisy, which I think is a huge plus. But yeah, overall, a really good feeling. Jean is gonna submit his dossier today, so we'll see what they say. That being said, as much as I want Jean to get this apartment, I'm a little bit nervous. During our visit alone, I saw at least 25 people, and the ad was only posted yesterday. So it's kind of like exactly what I was saying in my first apartment hunting video, that the supply of apartments just doesn't match the demand that there is in Paris. So please keep your fingers crossed for Jean, and I will see you guys in our next visit. We're going to our second visit.
Ah. Attends, bah ouais. Dis-le-moi avant.
Okay, we're on our way to our second visit in the 11th arrondissement. This apartment was located in the 11th arrondissement in a pretty residential area. It's on the second floor of this building. Right beside the apartment, you have a little storage cupboard, which was super handy, and similar to the first apartment we viewed, you've got the kitchen and the living room together right away when you walk in, although this apartment is quite a bit smaller. The bedroom was an okay size, no storage, which was a bummer, and because you're on the second floor, there's also not a lot of natural light. The apartments in front of you kind of block it. Brace yourselves for the worst part. The bedroom window is right above the garbage storage for the building. Moving back to the main living space for a closer view of the kitchen, which this time has a stovetop already installed. The bathroom is cute and recently renovated, but definitely made for only one person and no windows, so no natural lighting, and there was also no space to install a washing machine. Here's a final look at the window from the living space, which, as you can see, is not ideal. Honestly, you guys probably already know our thoughts on this apartment. Jean absolutely did not send in his dossier for this one. There wasn't necessarily anything bad about the inside of the apartment itself, and the location, the 11th arrondissement, is a really great place to be. It's pretty central, but yeah, he was just not gonna live on the second floor right above all of the garbages. Not only would it be really loud for someone living so close to the ground floor when people are coming in and out of the courtyard or even throwing their garbage in the bins, but it was also just really dirty looking, and we could both imagine in the summertime, like, the smell of the garbage wafting into the apartment. It was just not the right apartment for him, but no worries. We do have another visit planned for an apartment in the 14th, so I'll check back in with you guys in a few days. Okay, so on our way to the third visit.
Yes.
The first visit, even though we liked it, the apartment had been given away on the same day, so someone submitted their dossier and was approved like within a few hours. The second one was awful. And now the third one, we're in the 14th arrondissement. Are you excited?
A little bit. I think the apartment is good.
Yeah.
Due to the picture that we can see.
Yeah.
But
the location.
Yeah.
It's super far. We took 30 minutes on the bike to get here.
Yes, I think it's a bit, but it's close to my next walk.
But
it's far from my chérie.
We're We're deep into the 14th for this viewing. You could tell right away that we were in a very residential neighborhood. There were a lot less shops and restaurants down these streets. We went through the entrance, past the courtyard, and all the way up to the top of the building via stairs. There were tons of people waiting to view this apartment, and we waited in line for 40 minutes. It was totally worth it though. The apartment was stunning. Right when you walk in, you've got the kitchen and the living room and huge windows letting in lots of natural light because there were no other floors or buildings blocking the view. You even had a mini balcony. The bedroom was also really great, a little bit bigger than the other apartments we'd visited, although still no storage. However, there was a really nice big window with a great view. Back over to check out the kitchen, which was pretty small and without a stovetop installed like the first apartment. I don't really understand why they do this because I feel like a stovetop is essential for everyone's cooking. Then back through the hallway entrance, you have the bathroom, which was a little bit dirty and quite a bit cramped. I'm shooting with a wide angle here, but this was very, very small in real life. Okay, so I just got back from the viewing and I wanted to give you guys our overall thoughts on the apartment. I really wanted to film this with Jean, but when we got out of the viewing, the street was just way too noisy and he had to go back to work. We're doing most of these viewings during his lunch break because that's typically when the agencies and the landlords will show the apartments. Overall, for 825 euros, this apartment was amazing. Jean really liked that the bedroom was separate from the living space and from the kitchen. And I really loved that there was no vis-a-vis, which means that there was no other apartment building or building in general blocking the view. It means you get all of the natural light coming in. What was really neat as well is that at both windows, there was this tiny little, I want to say 1 meter squared green patch that you could transform into a mini balcony. There were very few cons to this apartment. You could say that maybe the bathroom was a little bit cramped and in the kitchen, you didn't have the built-in stovetop. But overall, this apartment really was like chef's kiss all the way. The only reason Jean isn't sending in his dossier is because of the location of the apartment. If you guys saw my first apartment hunting video, you already know my thoughts on the 14th arrondissement. It's just not as lively as the rest of the city and it really is way far out from downtown Paris. Like I said, we took 30 minutes on the bikes to get there. And not only was it far out, but there were also not a lot of restaurants, bars, grocery stores in the neighborhood, which makes it a lot less convenient to live there. So overall, the verdict is that it's a great apartment, just not in the right location for Jean. Okay, so we forgot to film an intro to this visit, but basically at this point, Jean and I had decided that we wanted to move in together, and so we started to look for 2-bedroom apartments. Jean had a contact at a rental agency and he reached out to him, and that agent sort of looked around and found us an apartment that was within our budget and in the area that we wanted to live in. But the problem is that this apartment is rez-de-chaussée, which is the lowest level. It's like the ground floor apartment of a building. And as I'm sure you guys could have gathered by now, I am a lover of light. I'm always very hesitant to live in a rez-de-chaussée because you typically get the least amount of light in the building. But yeah, that is what we're visiting right now. We're back to Vincennes for this viewing down a very charming and calm street located by lots of cute amenities and green parks. Jean is super happy, you can't tell, but it's very sunny and we're happy to be looking at our first apartment together. And from the outside, this building looks really beautiful. We made our way through the entrance and out onto the courtyard and it was very clean and friendly looking. One of the other neighbors who lived on the ground floor had set out a little patio set. The inside of the apartment was super depressing. There was an office right by the entrance and the bedroom beside it with a classic Paris fireplace right in the middle. The view out the window wasn't awful because of the little garden, but the window offered very little sunlight. Now we've got the bathroom, which was a bit bigger than the apartments we'd seen before, and this one also had a bathtub. Back down the hall on the other end, we have the kitchen, which was a little bit sad looking. The pieces all seemed out of place and random. Like, you have the oven at the opposite end of the kitchen, and also still no stovetop. The second bedroom was a little bit better than the first. It seemed a little bit better lit and cleaner. The window looked out onto the garden, which was nice, but still not much sunlight. Finally, back down the hall beside the kitchen, you had the toilet, which was separated from the rest of the bathroom. This apartment was definitely more so along the lines of price and size that we're looking for. It was actually bigger than what we're looking for, but the top, like highest priority for me is that the apartment be lit with natural lighting, and this was quite literally the opposite of that. So I did not see myself living here. We didn't submit a dossier, but we did tell the agent that if anything else came up on a higher level, we would be very interested. Our next visit is to a really charming apartment in the 12th. As soon as we saw this ad, we were like 10,000% sure that we wanted to live here, that we wanted to submit our dossier. We were even like, should we even go to this viewing? Should we just submit our paperwork? We want it that bad. But as you'll see, it didn't go as expected. We're in the 12th for this visit, which is a really nice neighborhood, very residential and relatively lively, although it's a bit far off the beaten path for my liking. We went up the stairs to the very top. Once again, it's crazy that we have not seen a single apartment with an elevator. Once you walk into this apartment, to the right, you have the living room and dining room and second bedroom all in the same space. This was a very bright and spacious area. The wall was lined with windows. Here's a close-up of the second bedroom, which Jean and I were hoping to use as an office space, but the owner had put a second bed. A quick shot of the view for you, which I really appreciated, completely unobstructed, which was a huge plus for me. The living room area of this space was okay, but not exactly my style choice. It felt like a lot of random pieces of furniture stuck together. In the kitchen now, which I actually quite liked, there was a huge gas stovetop, which was amazing, and a bigger fridge than we normally have, and even space to add a laundry machine. I thought the bathroom was really cute as well. It was renovated, and the tiling made everything look very clean and bright. Further down the hall, we had the bedroom, which had storage and a huge mirror, which was great to finally see, as well as a big, bright window with a really interesting view of the Paris rooftops. So the size and layout and light level of this apartment was perfect for us. It wasn't necessarily our ideal location, but we were willing to settle if everything else aligned. The problem, though, was that the landlord wanted to rent this apartment furnished, and we do not want to rent furnished for a couple of reasons. The first reason is that landlords don't really care about how they furnish the apartment for anyone other than themselves. So typically you'll get mattresses that suck, you'll get furniture that's kind of ugly that looked like it came from grandma's attic. I mean, you would have seen in the pictures, like the foldable chairs at the dining table was a no for me. But not just that, Jean and I also have a ton of our own furniture. I mean, you guys watched me renovate my entire apartment, so I have all this furniture that I want to bring with me and put in my new apartment. So even though it checked everything or almost everything on our list, we definitely do not want to be living in a place that's already furnished, so we didn't end up submitting our dossier. Okay, so those are all the apartments that I have to show you guys today. Like I mentioned, we didn't find our dream apartment, but we're still on the hunt, and I'm super excited to be able to bring you guys on that journey with us. Thank you so much again to Lingoda for sponsoring this video. I will leave the link and the code down below. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you found it interesting. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments, and I'll see you guys in my next one.